You know, when you high strung and you're dealing with a lot of different things that has you nervous and you can't relax, have you double-minded in your thinking. A lot of times it be anxiety and depression. And we have to recognize it for what it's worth and function and operate and give it over to the Most High. You know, you can't worry about tomorrow. Let today take care of today and tomorrow take care of itself. So we have to make sure that we don't overstress ourselves with trying to figure out how to solve problems that only the Most High can solve. We have to be a vessel, and sometimes as a vessel, we have to recognize that the Most High won't put more on us than we can handle. He won't overflow the vessel unless it's with blessings. So if we move ourselves out the way and operate with the Most High, let Him function in our lives, a lot of our stress and anxiety will be put to the side. You know, He's like, rest on me. Put your problems on Christ. Trust in Him, and He'll deliver you. You'll be surprised. I mean, at this point, we shouldn't readily be surprised. I mean, everything I have, I contribute to the Most High because I know it's not me. I'm not that smart. I've never been that bright. You understand what I'm saying? So everything I know I receive has been a blessing through the Most High. It's nothing that I'm not in myself. No man is of himself. All our blessings stream from the Most High. So once we put that in position, in our right state of mind, we also know that any issues or any problems we have in our life, if we focus Him through the Most High, we'll be delivered from it. You know, it's an old saying I used to love. He may not come when you need Him, but He's right on time. He's always on time. You know, He hasn't failed none of us, because if the Most High has failed us, then how are you sitting here? So we always have to remember that everything we go through, it's for the betterment of you. You know, He said the purest gold is tried through the hottest flame. So we got to recognize heresies are going to arise in our life, but we can't let anxiety and depression stop us from keeping ourselves on focus on what's the real goal is, to keep the commandments and follow the Most High. Because it's through that belief and through that faith that we'll be delivered through these issues, all right? So our first scripture we're going to go into is Philippians chapter 4. And we're going to start on Philippians 4, verse 4. And it says here, there are many that suffer from anxiety and depression. The pharmaceutical industry is overflowing with mood-altering drugs, grossing in the billions per year, and yet the user of such drugs never seem to be able to escape the mental torment of such destructive thoughts. Is there any other way to cure these issues we oftentimes fall victim to? Is there something that the scriptures can reveal to us as far as understanding how to overcome these states of moral imprisonment? We will find out today. So Philippians chapter 4, verse 4. Amen when you have it.
Amen.
Brother Clarence, floor is yours.
The book of Philippians chapter 4, verse 4. Rejoice in the Most High always. And again I say rejoice. Verse 5. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Most High is at hand. Verse 6. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto the Most High.
So the Most High says, be careful for nothing. Meaning don't worry about anything, because all things you offer up in prayer. So before you function in any kind of manner, before you do anything, always offer it up to the Lord in prayer. That's why before we eat, we always pray. Before you go on a journey, you always pray. Before you go to sleep, you always pray. See, so you don't have to be careful of anything as long as you put the Most High first in all you're doing. Then you can function without fear. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the peace of the Most High, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Yeshua.
So with that process, you will always be kept. You will always have a hedge because you put the Most High first in all your doings. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the Most High of peace shall be with you.
Right. So if we let Christ be our example, so every way we function in life, if we use the example of Christ, then we'll have peace in our life. Christ forgave. Christ fed. Christ gave charity. Christ always talked about the Most High. He never put himself first. All glory to the Most High. So if we walk and keep our life in that same stature and understanding, you will only but be in peace. You will not be at adversary with your brother and sister over anything if you let Christ walk first. Now, yes, some people you're just not going to be able to deal with, period, because people are going to have their own mind and function their way. But it won't be with you. It will be a battle with themselves. As long as you function the way Christ functioned with the brethren, you're not at fault in any level. Brother, I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what you say. I love you no matter how you act. I'm going to be your brother through it all. And if we always have that state of mind, then we'll love each other no matter what. All right? Especially amongst the brethren. We all should have that personal understanding that we are the body of Christ. We are to prefer one another over anybody. We're to forgive each other quicker for anybody. But yet it's the opposite of the church. You're more offended by your brother and sister than you are in people in the world. It's funny. We'll swallow a camel but choke off a gnat. We'll go in the world and swallow all the nonsense that the world put on our shoulders and backs and comments and say anything to us, and then come right to the house and fight our brother over the last juice or the last soda in the house. And it's your family. And it's funny how we have more understanding for the world than our own brothers and sisters. And we have to, Christ said, you have to reverse that. You have to prefer one another. We have to function with one another more so. It's our responsibility. And it says here, sometimes the things we care for are out of this world, which we see as a paramount in a large scale of things that are less important than we make. Then and when we experience unhealthy levels of anxiety in order to obtain them, sometimes we also let little uncomfortable things that happen along the path become the focus of our life, which becomes an obsession. And we can become self-absorbed to a degree to where we forget the importance of focusing on the things which are pure and can help our minds to be kept at peace. So we'll focus over the little things and let that agitate us all day. And then now we're in a bad mood, and now we're being snappy and mean to other people over one little misunderstanding that we should just let roll over. We should be like a duck and let it roll off our back. It's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? People do that to you on purpose. They'll say something to you to get you agitated, to get you riled up, just to see you act a fool. So we have to be wise. What was that? I was looking at a movie where the brother said, I like to be the smartest person in the room. It was the movie with Morgan Freeman. They were all magicians. And the guy was sitting there with the handcuffs on. Right now you see me. He's like, I'm the smartest person in the room. And really, it was the cop because he manipulated the whole sequence to make them become, Masons at the end of the day. They were Masonic magicians. But he was just saying, when you dealing with the outside world, try to be the smartest person in the room as far as when you're dealing with emotional elements to where someone would pluck at you, and you got to recognize like, hey, that brother's in a bad mood today. I'm not going to let his mood jump onto me. So now I got to be smart enough to recognize that it's not necessarily that brother. He's dealing with something today. Spirits can be used. You don't have to be in sin for a spirit to use emotions to get you to do things that's not comely to the Most High. That he gave us the example with Peter. He didn't call Peter Satan. He called the love that Peter had for Christ, for him not to be crucified, Satan's, because Christ knew he had a function to do. And Peter loved him. Peter didn't want to lose Christ. So he was telling him, no, Christ, let's not go into Bethlehem. They're going to crucify you. And he said, get behind me, Satan, because this must be done for the salvation of Israel. So Satan can manipulate emotional states of mind to get you to go against Christ. It's not that you're infected. It's just emotions can be easily manipulated, and we have to be aware of that. And with that becomes anxiety. It brings about depression. That's why we have to stay prayed up in all these things. All right, let's go to Psalms, and let's go to Psalms chapter 40:1. All right, amen when you have it.
Amen.
Thank you, Brother Clan, for the juice. You know, I love me some tea. So it's yours, brother.
So 41.
No, chapter 40, verse 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. I waited patiently for the Most High, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. Verse 2. He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. Verse 3. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our power. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Most High.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Blessed is the man that maketh the Most High his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies.
Right. So exactly, the fourth verse is the point. Blessed is the man that maketh the Most High his trust. Trust in the Most High through all your ills and problems, and it will deal with the anxiety and depression. If you know the Most High will deliver you through all things, what are we depressed about? What is the anxiety for? You know what I'm saying? Heresies must arise, but we must endure to the end to receive this gift. Right? And it says here, we must remember that there are so many things the Father has not allowed us to experience which are far worse than our own life experience. We may be currently experiencing. There were many that went through greater hardships to follow the Father. So there's a lot of things that the Most High protects us from that he don't have us go through, because he won't put on you more than you can stand. So when you're going through a lot, you got to realize the Most High respects you, have respect for you, and can see that you can go more through than the next person. See? So take this with gladness. It's part of the walk. I mean, if you're going to go to heaven, you got to remember, if the Master suffered, you shall suffer also. The disciples suffered unto death like Christ. And we don't have to even suffer that point. The worst thing we got to do is being called crazy, being talked about, backbiting. That's stuff that we should be able to deal with. We went through that in high school. And yet here we are, 30 and 40 years old, still worrying about what sister and brother so-and-so said behind my back. Believe me, what do it matter? Serve Christ. Christ is going to be the judge of man. If you believe me, the Bible said, judge not unless ye shall be judged. So if people are judging you, we know judgment is the punishment, but just for conversation purposes, for English, we know that when people are talking about you behind your back, it's not they have a problem with you, it's things that they see that's lacking in their own life. And because they see it's lacking in their own life, then they want to talk about you because they see the strength in you. Believe me, people aren't talking about you because you're underneath them. They're talking about you because they're envious of something that you have that they don't. See, so we have to be aware. We have to make sure that all our thoughts are filtered through Christ. Because remember, every word that proceeds out your mouth will be held accountable. Every word, everything you say. So we have to be very careful. All right, let's go to Romans. We're going to do Romans chapter 15, verse 1. Amen. We have it.
Amen.
Lord, it's yours, Brother Clarence.
The book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves.
Right, exactly. So if you see somebody weak that you know you can help them. Help them bear their infirmities. Because when you can bear yours, Christ carried you. So now if you see a brother and sister that need help and you can help them, Jump there, help them. You know, what greater gift is there to give the life for thy brother? So if to give your life for your brother's a gift, how much more helping your brother is a gift, is a blessing? Go ahead.
Verse 2, let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Verse 3, for even Christ pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached them fell on me.
Right. So Christ is saying he didn't do this to uplift himself. He took on the sins of Israel that we may be saved. See, Christ was already on the right hand of the Father. He did not have to sacrifice his life for us, but he came to do that for us, that we may be edified, that we may have an understanding of how to follow the Father and get back in the position of our covenant that was made with our forefathers, to receive it again, because we have been cast away for the sins of our forefathers. So Christ didn't do it for his edification. He did it for ours, that we may be redeemed. Go ahead.
Verse 4, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right. So whatever these things were written, oftentimes were written for our learning. So the Bible was here for our learning, that we may have an understanding to take away our reproach. We have to realize that the scriptures and the Proverbs and the Psalms and the prophets and the different understanding, the story of Christ and the deliverance and the healing, this is for us to learn how to function amongst each other, that we may have repentance, so we can have a way back to the Father. That's what this book is here for. This is the book of life that will be opened up, and judgment will be rendered through this book. So if judgment, if the test is through the book, study the book, know the book, live the book. The book is Christ. Christ is the Word. Christ is said he's in the volume of the book. He's the Old Testament. And when he led the children of Israel, when Daniel in the lion's den, Hamshach and Abednego in the fiery furnace, all the different miracles in the Bible, this is Christ. So if we walk the book, we walk with Christ, and we shall have life. All right? It says here, what verse we stopped before? Yes, excellent. It says here, when we get weak and suffer anxiety or depression, we have to use the scriptures to bring balance back to our lives. We have these records so that we can find comfort in times of trouble and stay on the path. Those that are strong should help those that are weak, and we must all learn to back away from our own selfish tendencies and look at life as not a life you have to make on your own alone, but rather understand that the Father made us come together so that we can strengthen each other. See, through the problems in life, when all the money run out and the power turn off, we're going to have to come together and function as one individual group, that we may edify and love and strengthen one another. That's the whole point. Until Israel come together as a nation, no more breach between the northern and southern kingdom. No more breach between the dark-skinned and the light-skinned brothers. We got to come back together. One nation. You know what I'm saying? Y'all get that, right? So we come back together. No more splitting over good hair and bad hair. Y'all know what group I'm in, right? We got to come back together. All these little similar. Listen, when Elder Ricard said something I love, he said, when it comes down to that last can of beans, we ain't going to be arguing about clothes and shoes. We're going to be arguing about who had that last teaspoon of beans. Because it ain't going to be much left. So all these little petty arguments we got amongst each other are going to be put away. Because when life gets serious and it's the last bottle of water, it's the last little cans of whatever we have left, we're going to have to love each other to be able to share with each other. Because believe me, if you got a little attitude towards another brother or sister, and it's that last little half a bottle of water, you know, and everybody's supposed to take their little swig so everybody can get some, man, we're going to have to love each other way deeper than we do now. I mean, and that's why Christ is trying to get us to love each other while we have a lot. So it's easier to function when we have a little. Because believe me, it will be a little. The Bible says it's going to come a famine, pestilence, disease on this earth. And if we don't love each other enough to carry each other, Brother Q may have to grab my son, and I may have to grab Brother West's daughter, and we're going to all have to carry each other on our shoulders. Our mother-in-laws and our weaker vessels, we're going to have to carry them. And we had to love each other to do that, because that's an extending of a lot of energy. And if we can't function together now, I can't get a ride today. I got gas money for you, brother. You know, I got to go down the street a little extra than I would normally. But brother, we trying to get You should have called me yesterday, bro, you know. And now we get, and we spoil, you know. You know, the disciples had to walk everywhere they went to, you know. So we got to realize, we have to really look at ourselves when a brother, I mean, I know sometimes Israel, we can get a little overbearing with each other and ask more than what we should do because we all look at each other as men and women and we're supposed to function. But at the same time, we have to realize this is captivity for everybody. And sometimes blessings would deal to you sooner than that particular brother. So sometimes we got to share what the Most High has blessed us with. He didn't bless you with an SUV to only have just you and your wife and, you know, a couple of bags of groceries up in and help, you know, reach out. I know Brother Calvin, I be telling him all the time, man, stop driving all the way to the moon. Calvin used to drive everywhere to pick up people. I used to love that about him. And he took his, whatever he has and he gives to the body. I love that about him. I hate to use you and put you out there, but I know you do that work, man. And so we have to be that way, you know, and sometimes too, as other brothers, if you're going to ask someone for help, give them notice. Don't call that morning at 8:30, can you come get me? And class getting ready to start in 30 minutes. And you're going to be like, well, brother, I'm trying to, you know, be on time and respectable of the Most High, just like you want to be. So it's a thin line between functioning with the body and being a burden to your brother at the same time. So let's all try to be continent of mind of if we're going to need help, function accordingly and be prepared ahead of time. Because it helps. If you call me the night before, then now I can prepare myself and then now I can help you a little bit. We can't just put our burden on our brothers and sisters at the last minute and expect miracles at that particular point. We have to judge. You know, the Bible said be wise as a serpent and gentle as a lamb, so function accordingly, all right? Let's go to Jeremiah 38:3. All right, amen. When you have it.
Amen.
All right, go ahead, Brother Clarence. The floor is yours.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 38, verse 3. Thus saith the Most High, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Verse 4. Therefore the princes said unto the king which beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weaketh the hands of the men of war that remain in this city, and the hands of all the people in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt.
Right, so they were mad at Jeremiah because Jeremiah was prophesying, saying, yeah, this city gonna fall to the king of Babylon. But it's gonna fall because of your wickedness and disobedience and sin. And they wanted to kill Jeremiah because he was, you know, Jeremiah was the prophet, so the people were at fear because of his sayings. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then Zedekiah the king said, behold, he is in your hand. For the king is not he that can do anything against you.
Go ahead.
Verse 6. Then took they Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah,
Yeah, Messiah.
the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison. And they let down Jeremiah with cords, and in the dungeon there was no water, but mire. So Jeremiah sunk in the mire.
The mirror. Yeah, Sister Bridget, ain't that mirror is waste? Did we look that up? Mire, but it was waste, right?
I think that's mud.
Mud and waste. I thought one time we was like a.
Something else.
Yeah, I know one time we looked it up. Yeah, but right, it was waste. So you gotta realize when you dropped into that pit and you up to mud up to your knees and it's just filthy up in there, no water, no nothing. So they was gonna leave from there to die in the muck and mire. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Now when Abimelech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Just say Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin.
Verse 8. Abimelech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, verse 9, My lord, the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon, and he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. Verse 10.
Yes, sir.
Then the king commanded Abimelech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he died.
Exactly. And it says here, Jeremiah was cast into a pit of filth and left to die simply for warning our people of what the Most High had determined against us if we didn't do as he had commanded. Imagine the despair that he had to feel, yet Jeremiah never cursed the Most High or blamed him for the evil actions of others. How often do we go through emotions and not turn to such stories? We must use these examples to help us fight when we fall, when we feel like we have been knocked down. So this is just another story of understanding that when you get into lower state because of the wickedness of other men, don't get mad. Don't be distraught from it. We have to realize that heresy is going to rise. People are going to attack you. Satan is like a roaring lion looking from whom he can devour. So when we get into these situations, when you hear people talking and saying things about you that you don't like, take it with gladness. It's part of the struggle. You got to realize that if this is happening to you, then you must be walking right with the Most High, because Satan is at war with you. He already got the people in the world, and their life is already chaos. So when you see chaos coming your way, don't duck from it. Take it with gladness. Keep your head up. We're all gonna go through stuff. Believe me, if you think you're gonna live life and not go through nothing, you ain't been alive. Because when you was in the world, you went through what? Craziness and chaos. So while you in the body of Christ, you're gonna go through craziness and chaos. But what do we have? We have the Bible and the examples of the prophets to guide us through. That no problem is too great. And that's what the whole lesson is going to be about. People being cast into prison and not losing faith. People not having enough and not losing faith. We get mad when we only got a half a tank of gas. Oh, Lord. We got to get stronger than that, brother. It's going to get bad out here in a minute. Y'all see Donald Trump? This man hair ain't combed to the left and he orange because he made good decisions. You don't make a good decision combing your hair over like this every morning and thinking that's the lick. You got to realize this man is not in his right mind. He didn't sign, 3,500 executive orders in 2 days?
They complained about Obama.
Right, and he ain't read not one of them. He just got a stamp. Y'all got to realize, man, and exactly, he's in the pocket of the Zionists. We got to get prepared for some of the worst times on earth like there has never been before. So in the time of Noah, so shall the coming of man be. If y'all understood, really, when y'all go into the book of Jasher and y'all go into certain books, they tell you it was chaos. The giants and the fallen angels were devouring everything. They had created dinosaurs and all kind of creatures on the earth. The earth was at total turmoil. There was a famine. There was a war in the heaven amongst the demigods. It was chaos, and it's going to be just as bad. Earthquakes in diverse places, wars and rumors of wars. These things, famine, pestilence, disease, all these things are going to come to pass. And if we're not fortified and united, we're going to splinter. A house divided can't stand. All right, did I read this? All right, excellent. All right, let's go and stay in Jeremiah and just go to Jeremiah chapter 29. Let's go to verse 11. All right. Amen when you have it.
Amen.
So what is yours, bro?
The book of Jeremiah chapter 29,
Yes, sir.
verse 11. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Most High, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
Right, to give you an expected end. What's our expected end? Glory. Our expected end is heaven. So if we understand that the Most High loves us and got peace towards us, and we're going to receive that covenant of Abraham, why be depressed? Where's the anxiety coming from? Go ahead.
Verse 12, then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you.
Right, so if you have the faith that the Most High is going to deliver us, then you going to call upon him, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hear you. So the Most High telling you that if we stay strong and endure and have faith and come together, he's going to hear our prayers. Go ahead.
Verse 12, then shall, Salakia, verse 13, and ye shall seek me and find me, and when ye shall search for me with all your heart.
Yes, sir.
Verse 14, and I will be found of you, saith the Most High, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Most High, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive.
Right, so what the Most High is saying, all the curses and all the destruction he put on Israel for being disobedient, if we seek him and pray after him and desire him, he will deliver us and bring us back from all the places he scattered us and bring us back to our homeland and deliver us and give us the covenant and the promises that he has promised our forefathers. That's why no matter through it all, keep your head up. Anxiety and depression is a spirit that we can work through. I'm not going to let this depression bog me down. I'm not going to let this anxiety make me get excited and make the bad decisions. Because when we emotional, we can't really think straight. You know, we jump into things, we make bad decisions, and then we look back and be like, if I just would have been patient and waited on the Lord. Patience is a virtue, saith the Lord. Sometimes be patient, be like, you know what, hold on. Let me sit down and let the Most High work this out. And it'll work out for the better. But when we try to take everything on our own hands and try to function in our own mind, leaning on our own understanding, we just make the situations worse. Then now we really in a bind. Now we really on our knees. Now we're really screaming, Most High, deliver me, deliver me. But you done made all the bad decisions, but now you want him to come clean up your mess. We good for that. We make all the wrong decisions, and then we at the worst position in our life. Now we want to lean on the Most High. He gonna be like, well, no, you done made all these decisions till this point. Finish it. But he ain't. He gonna be like, you know what? You're my children. I love you. You're gonna come right on in. And he delivers. And it says here, when we determine for ourselves that we will choose to follow the Father with a complete determination in our own mind, our captivity, including our captive minds, will be made free of anguish if we truly seek to follow his will and learn patience through our adversities. So it's up to us to wait on the Most High. It's up to us to have faith and put our mind behind him and search after him, and he'll deliver us through all our adversity. That's not a problem that the Most High didn't see and he can't deliver you from. He said, I know already what you need. All you got to do is humble yourself and ask for it. And that's a lot of times we don't want to do that. We don't want to have to fall on our face and give honor to the Most High and say, deliver me through this. Because we know it was our own bad decisions that got us here. So we got to fall on the Most High, forgive me for my ignorance. Forgive me for my disobedience and help me through this. Deliver me through this. And it'll work out for the better. Believe me. He will not fail you. Because if he failed you, you wouldn't be here. That's simple math. Now, you may not be here in the way you want to be here. You may not be outside on 22 with a Mercedes-Benz, but yet you still here. See, we got to put aside our own wants and desires out of life and seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and he going to add everything to you. He going to give you that hedge you need. He going to bring you that peace you need. He's going to mend relationships that has been broken through our own bad decisions. But we have to first trust in the Most High. All right? Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3. Amen. You have it?
Amen.
Floor is yours, brother.
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 3.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Blessed be the Most High, even the Father of our Lord Yeshua Christ, the Father of mercies, and the power of all comfort. Verse 4. Who comforteth us in our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble, by the comfort wherewith ourselves are comforted of the Most High.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Verse 5, for as the sufferings of Christ abound in us, so our consolation also aboundeth by Christ.
Exactly. So we suffer for Christ. Christ will save us from the suffering. Because he walked in the flesh. So if we're going to suffer for him, he's going to be the remedy for our suffering because we're doing it for him. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 6, and whether we be afflicted, it is for your consolation and salvation.
So when we're afflicted, it's for our salvation. See? We tried through this fire. Go ahead.
Which is effectual in the enduring of the same sufferings which we also suffer, or whether we be comforted, it is for your consolation and salvation.
So what it's saying is the Most High will take you through issues so that he can show you his strength and power and comfort in you, that you may believe. I'm going to go through trials and the Most High is going to deliver me. And through that, now I have faith. Now I'm going to be stronger in the Most High because I know there's nothing that will be put in front of me that I can't have a resolve for, that Christ won't bring me through. And it says here, we go through lows so that we may help to be a testimony for others in a time of weakness. Those of wisdom are able to find comfort in the Most High and use the lessons learned to help others find similar comfort. Our lives are not our own. We are here to live to help others. So through our example of going through issues, and we make it through when another young brother or sister go through it, you're like, hey brother, don't get discouraged. I've been there. I've been through that. The Most High brought me through. Young sister, don't worry about it. The Most High will deliver you. He'll provide for you. Be patient and wait on the Most High. Our lives aren't ours. We were bought with a price. So if we live our life for an example for the Most High, to be that vessel for the Most High, then you can be a light not only to the Gentiles, but to your brothers and sisters. What greater gift to give your life to Christ, to be an example for your brothers. That's exactly what he's going to be about. How did you live to be an example? That's what Paul is talking about. Brother Joseph asked me a question about eating food that was sacrificed to idols. And Paul is saying, if it's going to make a stumbling block for another brother, don't eat the meat. Don't participate in things that a younger brother in the word or a younger sister in the understanding will have cause to be double-minded in. So because of that, because I see you're not strong in that level of faith, I'm not going to do it to cause you to become a stumbling block. You know, I may be able to have a glass of wine with no issue. But if I know there's a brother that's dealing with alcoholism and we go somewhere, guess what I'm not going to do? Not going to drink. Not going to do it to make it a stumbling block, to give him an occasion, be like, well, you know, the deacon drinks, and let me get 2 shots of Crown, and, you know, we knocking him back now. No, I'm not going to do that. Right, killing him. Right. I'm not doing that. I'm be like, no, brother, since I know that you dealing with something, hey, give me an iced tea with some lemons. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's how we operate. You know, Elder Ricard said something that was beautiful in the elders and deacons meeting. He said, on the holy days, he said, when you are the elder and deacon, you're not to partake in wine with everybody. You're only supposed to drink as an elder or deacon with certain brothers, so they would feel it's an occasion to be able to share wine with a deacon or elder. But if I'm the deacon, I'm just turning up the bottle of wine, walking through the church, it's a party. Right, then now everybody like, it's just a normal thing. Everybody want to drink, then they're going to get comfortable with you. Then now here comes disrespect. Do you know how much of a blessing it's going to be when Elder Ricard comes and we be able to sit down and he's going to partake in wine with him, to be able to drink with an elder? That's going to be, it's going to be an emotional experience within itself. But if it's a common thing and every time I come to church, I smell liquor on my breath. You know, I had a little grape before I came in. I communed. Yeah, I was communing with the Lord this morning. They were like, right, the next thing everybody coming in with little bottles, little swabs, you know. What verse he say? We gotta be wise with this. We had to use that wisdom of elder statesmen to function with the body. It becomes a responsibility on us to function that way. So then now we're not only a light to the Gentiles. I want all to be saved, but I want to first be a light to the body before I'm even worried about the outside world. It'll take care of itself till the Most High lift me to that level. But till then, I want to walk right for the brethren. That y'all may see that, hey, it can be done. It can be done. We can do this, and especially together. So when you go through these lower states, call Brother Q. Every time I call Brother Q, he answers the phone. Every time I call Brother Clarence, I didn't text him a few times, but when I call him, he get back with me, a couple minutes later. Brother Kurt owe me, boom. He owe me, boom. Brother E, I can call Brother E anytime I need him. Forever, for years. I ain't never, even if he don't answer the phone, I know Brother E gonna call me here sooner or later. And if he don't now, I'm worried. Because I know how he functions with me. Brother West, I ain't got no issues. I can call Brother West and bing, he on me. See, that's how we got to be amongst each other. Everybody else, yeah, we can skip it along and brother, I'll get with you later. But when it's the brethren calling you, man, we had to be like that. Even with Elder Gabar, before he was, whatever he went through, he was like, listen, when a brother calls you, if he's a deacon or elder, you must have the responsibility to have camaraderie amongst each other, to call each other back. We can't just be ignoring each other like it's not an important thing. Right, I know why you clapping, Brother E, because he talk all the time, so I know why he clapping. But we got to be that way. We can't be, there go Deacon Greg, to the left, I get with, I know that, because I've been there. We've been there, E, huh? We've been there. One brother was hot with me and Brother E, like, y'all getting together, y'all ain't including me. And we like, brother, that's not what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? But we had to recognize that it can feel that way sometimes when you see me and this brother fellowshipping on a regular basis and you want to be around, but then the situation doesn't always allow, yeah, you'll start to feel that way. But we have to make you feel like, brother, no, it was circumstances sometimes that me and Brother E are easy to function amongst each other than your situation. So don't take it that way. So we just got to be aware. Remember, when people, one thing, me and my wife knows, when people get into the church, I love it. When they first get in, they head in. They on fire for the Lord. So you come into the church expecting a certain understanding, a certain life. But you got to remember, the church is full of the sick. We all ran from the world because we was tired of being beat up and dogged out in the world. So now we're healing. So we all got to give each other time and understanding to get strong in Christ, to function in the body properly. Just because you in the church don't mean you saved. If that was the case, then what is the Christian church going through? It's an endurance. It's a walk that we must endure to on a regular basis. So we have to be patient, not only with ourselves, but with each other. Especially new people in the body. You can't expect them to come right in. When you first go to school, you're not a senior. You in kindergarten. Beginning school, then first grade, second grade, to where you now become a senior or a junior or a freshman in that order. You must build up a strength of faith in the body and then function amongst the body. It's just because you walk into the church, just because someone is in the church, doesn't guarantee that you can just run up and tell them your whole life story and put your trust into them. That's why Christ said, don't cast your pearls among swine. You first must make sure that the brother and sister you're dealing with aren't swine. Develop a relationship, a camaraderie, a friendship first before you start to divulge your most innermost thoughts to a brother or sister. I've never seen that work out good. Y'all just met each other, y'all been friends 3-4 days, and now you telling them personal, emotional things about yourself. That's not the road to go down. Now, hey, if there's a natural love there, hey, as brothers and sisters, we should be able to talk to each other in confidence. But at the same time, this is just in the world. A wise man knows not to just divulge his whole life story to somebody he just met a couple of Sabbaths ago. That's just common sense. It never works out good, because if something ever comes in between you and the brother, you and that sister, what is the first thing they're gonna do? Bring up all your old stuff that you gave them in confidence and use it against you. Because remember, a lot of people are new in the body, so you have to be wise with these decisions on what you speak of with certain people. I have different friendships. There's things that I will speak with Brother Kurt that I won't speak with Brother West. But that's because me and Brother Kurt have a different relationship. And me and Brother West will get to a certain point too. Same thing where you have a conversation with your wife that you won't have with your buddies. It's certain things that you confide in different people because you know where to function at with them wisely if you're functioning that way. But if everybody you meet, you tell your whole life story to within 10 minutes of meeting them, and then all your business is everywhere, then what did you expect? You had to be wise in these things, you know, because we had to generally make sure we know a person before we give them our most innermost thoughts. The same thing with dating somebody. Before you just date somebody or get into a relationship with somebody, you want to go out on a few dates. Let's have some conversations. Let's function with each other. Let's interact with each other before I give you my special treasures. Common sense. And that's how we got to function here, all right? Let's go to 1 Peter, and let's do 1 Peter chapter 4. And let's do 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. All right, amen, when you have it. Yes, 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. All right, Brother Clarence, floor is yours.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened unto you. Verse 13. But rejoice in as much as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering.
Exactly. Beloved, think it's not strange concerning thy fiery trials, which is to try you, as do some strange thing happening to you. Like, it's strange that I'm going through this. No, brother. These are things to try you, to make you strong in the Most High. But rejoice in as much as you are the partaker of Christ's suffering. Meaning we are to rejoice when we're going through these issues. Being like, I must be strong because the Most High is taking me through. And he's taking me through it because he know I can handle it. So then when I make it through it, now, Brother West, you're an example to me. You're an example to the brother. Brother West made it through. You know what I'm saying? You sick, you bedridden, and the Most High take you through it for a time, and the next thing you know, you up and you strong and you back doing it again. So when somebody else go through that, brother, I remember when you were sick, what'd you do? What'd you take? I know when I got sick, you know who I ran to? Brother Calvin, Sister Relina, boy, they got me, Sister Alicia, and they got me right back on point. So when I know that people that deal with these things and they walk that walk, you can go down to that brother and sister like, what did you do to make it through? I know you have knowledge in this particular subject because no man knows it all. Everybody's given the gift of understanding according to their faith. So I know that where I was weak at medically when it came to eating healthy and doing better with my physical body, I went to the people that I know that lived a more of a physical lifestyle of purity of eating, not taking in the pork and the preservatives and the steroids and the sugars and all that stuff. And I went and found out that, hey, I got to stop drinking all this Coke and eating all this late night sugar because I'm 46 now. I can't eat hot dogs and then lay down on my back. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to tear up everything. You know what I'm saying? I found out me and Brother Q, we can't drink orange juice late at night no more and then lay back down. We can't do that. We got to learn, you know, and we go to people that walk that road. I'm not going to ask this young brother. This young brother can eat nachos 4 in the morning and be straight. Whereas, man, I can't even eat a grilled cheese sandwich because my stomach is getting ready to do flip-flops. So we have to go to people that's in our wisdom area to go like, hey, Brother Calvin, I know you suffered through that. What did you do? And next thing I know, I had the giant mushroom water and work miracles on me, you know? So always understand that. I would advise no elder sister to go advice to a younger sister. We would want that in reverse. So same thing here, you know? So understand that. Go ahead, brother. Finish that out. That when? Hold on. Yes. Just start at 13 altogether.
But rejoice in as much as ye are partakers in Christ's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceedingly joy.
Right, so when his glory is revealed, when you make it through, you will be glad with exceedingly joy. Give me the next one here.
Verse 14.
Yes, sir.
If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye, For the Spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified.
See, that you're glorified on their part. When you're evilly spoken of, you'll be glorified. If you go through this for the glory of Christ, you'll receive that crown, brother and sisters. That's why when you try through the fire, believe me, you're not just being burned for just heat's sake. You're going through this to be pure like gold. You're going to be one of those vessels that the Most High take pride in. You can be that living sacrifice that the Most High requires for us to be. So when you try through the fire, take it, because it's going to glorify you in the end. People are going to see through all of that trial and turmoil, they made it through. And they made it look good. We don't need to come to church with eyes red from crying, bent all over, don't want to look nobody in the face. Take it with gladness and suffer through it. And when you go through it, then you'll be a light unto someone else to be like, you know what, if that sister and brother can go through it, I can make it too. If they can, that's why me and Sister Tanya, we try to be here verbally on time and show y'all that, hey, if us two old couples can get up every morning and get up and make it here and serve the Most High, y'all can do it too. It's nothing grievous about it. Because I know when Master say, be at work at 6:35, not 6:36, we gonna be there. Because we know there's something at the end of the week that we want. Monetary gain. Well, at the end of this journey, I want the glory of the Most High. So I'm going to be a fervent follower of what he requires of me. Not for my own good, but for the good of the brethren, for the good of the body. We just read the scripture. This is not our life. Our life is bought with a price. So you've already move yourself out the way. The sacrifices that you make are for the brethren to see that sacrifices must be made to serve the Most High. We sacrifice everything. We sacrifice our time at a job. We sacrifice time from our family and children to be at a job that pay us pennies on the dollar. So if we're going to do that, how much more do we sacrifice for the Most High? It's one thing to miss the Sabbath here and the Sabbath there, but when it comes to where your hustle becomes more important than showing up for the Most High altogether, then now it becomes a sin, because now you're putting that gain in front of the Most High. And now we're thinking that just because we have a responsibility, we're letting a responsibility that's not as important as serving the Most High. And sometimes the Most High, they bless you with that same thing or that job, he'll move it right out the way for you to get you right back in line, to humble you. Because when you didn't have it, you was fervent, you was here weekly, every time, on point. Then now he bless you with something and now you start to lack. The Most High don't bless you to make you lack him, to lack his service. I didn't give you this for you to stop serving me. I didn't bless you through this. And we've been praying, give me this, Lord. Bless me with this. Bless me with a husband. Bless me with this job. And then you get it. Now you lack with the Most High. You would think it would be the opposite. He didn't give you everything you didn't ask. Now you lacking the serving of him. You think you push forward and be better at it. Let me see what more I can do, because he gave me all of this. If I do more, he'll give me more. See, people he give much to, he gonna put higher above. And people he give less to, and they don't function right, they gonna get less. All right. And it says here, as a follower of Christ, you will be attacked by the devil and his minions, because you are the only real threat within the earth against his world that he has built to defy the Father. It will feel at times like there is no way to go but down. In reality, these sufferings are temporary, and if you endure them, you will be in great happiness and in internal joy. So you can't tell me that once you make it through an issue or a problem that you don't feel better. You feel empowered. I know, I done been through it. I done seen the Most High work in my life. I done seen him pay my rent, and at the end, I'm like, wow, thank the Most High. I'm strengthened because of it. And you are, because, you know, hey, when you first start walking barefoot, everything hurts. But after 3-4 weeks of walking barefoot through a desert, you can walk on a mountain and not feel it, because you get a tougher layer of skin. You develop a stronger resolve. Well, that's the same thing. When you go through issues with the Most High, it improves your resolve. Then now you ain't little simple things don't make you as mad quicker. Oh, I've been through this. No, brother, don't worry about it. This ain't the first time somebody stepped on my shoes. You know, this ain't the first time someone parked in my parking space. No, brother, don't worry about it. No, matter of fact, stay right there. I'm good. Because now I'm tempered. I don't need to, everything is not an issue no more. There's more things in the earth to worry about than the most minute things that we go through in life. And that's why he's going to bring the destruction of the earth, to make Israel really look at themselves and put the small, trivial things aside and walk fervently with the Most High. That's more important than it all, and coming together as a body. All right? Let's go into Acts, and we're going to go to Acts 16, and we're going to start at verse 16. So let's go to Acts 16 and 16 here. And then we're just going to read 16 and 17. And then we're going to jump down to the 22. So I want to give them an understanding of what the story is about. All right, amen, when you have it? Amen. All right. Floor is yours, brother. The Clarence.
The book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 16.
Yes, sir.
And it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with a spirit of divination met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying.
Soothsaying, so she was a witch. Divination, meaning she read tea leaves or read your palm. She saw into the future, and they were using her to make much gain. Go ahead.
Verse 17. The same followed Paul and us, and cried, saying, These men are servants of the Most High Power, which shew us, Salakia, which shew unto us the way of salvation.
Right, so this woman was following after Paul and them because she wanted salvation, but she was dealing with these spirits. And the men that were using her to make money were trying to keep her functioning in that way. But she was following Paul, trying to get redemption, all right? Go ahead and jump down to 22. I just want y'all to give an understanding of what the story is based on. So y'all understand the story when Paul delivered the woman from the spirits, right? All right, going to 22 now.
Verse 22. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them.
Right, because Paul and Barnabas was together, and they delivered this woman that was making them money of the spirit, so she could not now see into the future, read the tea leaves, soothsay anymore. So they wanted to kill Paul. You know what I'm saying? And you see it today. You see it with pimps. If you talk to one of their girls and she don't want to do that no more, and now she wants to change her life, he gonna holler at you. Hey, player, I don't need for you to be giving these women good advice. I need for them to be downtrodden and weak of mind and spirit, so I can manipulate them to make money off of them. See? So when Paul did that in the past, back then, they would kill you for something like that. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 23. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the, jailer to keep them safely.
Right. Now, you see the world that they were living in? He did something righteous. He delivered this sister from spirits. And because it was about money, they were able to cast these brothers, Barnabas and Paul, into prison for doing a righteous act. Go ahead.
Verse 24, who having received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison and made their feet fast in the stocks.
Right, so they chained them by their ankles in the stocks. Go ahead.
Verse 25, and at midnight Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto the Most High, and the prisoners heard them. Verse 26, and suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open, and every one bands were loose.
Exactly, go ahead.
Verse 27, and the keeper of the prison, awaking out of his sleep and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword and would have killed himself, supposing that the prisoners had been fled.
Right, so back then, if you would have messed up at your job and all the prisoners escaped, and you had to go tell the king that, it's better just to kill yourself right then, because the king would have had you beheaded or killed anyway, and most likely tortured. So that's why he saw that, and like the Chinese movie, he was just getting ready to stab himself. It's better just to go out. That's going to show you the type of world that these disciples had to walk through. Go ahead.
Verse 28, but Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, do thyself no harm, for we are all here.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Verse 29, then he called for a light and sprang in and came trembling and fell down before Paul and Silas.
So he already knew why why this earthquake had happened and why this deliverance was given to the whole jail, because they knew about Paul and Silas, that the powers that had worked through. So Paul was already known throughout the land of being a righteous man of the Most High and doing miracles before the public. So he already knew who to go to. He didn't go to each cell and say who had this power. He already knew that the brother that just had cast out that demon out of that woman must be the reason why this whole jail shook. All right, go ahead.
Verse 30, and brought them out and said, Sirs, what must I do to be saved?
So once he experienced something like that, he humbled himself and was like, what I got to do to receive power like this? How do I get saved so I can, work this? Because if it wasn't for Paul, I'd be dead right now. Or Paul yelling out. So he's like, what must I do to be saved? Instead of him trying to be like, well, all right, thank you, I'm just going to lock y'all all back in. He understood that there was a power greater than himself, and he wanted to partake up in it. See, so Paul's example was now saving souls. Go ahead.
Verse 31, and they said, Believe on the Lord Yeshua Christ, and thou shalt be saved and thine house.
So believe in Christ and believe in the only begotten Son and the Father, and not only you, but your whole house shall be saved. So that's letting us know that if we just believe, follow it, Christ, and believing is just not believing. See, they'll mess you up with this Christian church just believing. Believing means you're going to function according to what you believe in. So if you know Christ had the water, you got to get that water. You know Christ kept the law, you got to get that law. That's what that belief is standing for. It's not, oh yeah, I believe in Jesus, so I'm saved. But yet you out eating pork, breaking all the laws, dealing with any women you can get your hand on. But as long as I just believe in Jesus, I'm good. That's that mind trick that they play on you in the Christian church. No, when you believe in something, you follow something. You live your life according to what you believe. All right? And it says here, Paul was in prison, singing and praising the Father, yet within the comfort of your own home, we murmur against him, even at the smallest of our uncomfortable things that may happen in our lives that we may have to experience, even for a few moments. Paul was heard by the Father and even released him from his imprisoned state. This is another example of what we must look to in order to get the bigger picture to help us to avoid spiritual despair. So even in Paul's weakest moments after being publicly beat. See, back then you got to remember, they beat you in the public, in front of everybody, then cast you into prison and chained you. So Paul knew what he did could lead him to being put to death. And yet they were singing and praising the Most High for that exact same reason. That if I died doing this work, it's to the glory to the Most High. So instead of them being all depressed and despair, they was all in good spirits. And because of this, the Most High said, oh, y'all faithful in my work, and showed a miracle that not only delivered them, but also saved the soul, the jailer. So we have to remember, our suffering will bring about an action that can save other people if we only just be patient and wait on the Most High. All right? Let's go to Matthew, and let's go to Matthew chapter 12, verse 43. Matthew chapter 12, verse 43. Amen, when you have it? Amen. All right. So it's yours, brother.
The book of Matthew chapter 12, verse 43. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Verse 44. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is gone, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. Verse 45, then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation.
Right. So what it's saying is, when you have came away from sin, and when you go back to sin, that spirit that was with you will come back and invade you and bring 7 more spirits that's even stronger than the ones you had cast out through fasting and prayer and through repentance. So then now the state you was in before is even now worse, because now you're dealing with 7 more stronger spirits that will continue to have you walk contrary to the Most High. And it says here, we suffer spiritual attack on a high level at times and fail to realize that the games the demons play against us. We go through traumatic issues, and then things get better and our mind is clear, and then something else comes because of the spirits get backed up so they can once again overtake you. Instead of falling victim to the next attack, we have to learn to call it as it really is. As it really is. They are attacks and are not to be fueled by allowing them to destroy our being. These following attacks may come through random people or those that we love, but either way, we must understand and prepare for the fact that if we are in the state of clarity, Satan will come soon in an attempt to overcome us again. So once you set yourself in line with the Most High, Satan is going to definitely attack you and constantly tempt you. And we have to stay strong, because as soon as you sin, the Bible said, when the Most High see you sin and he delivered you from it, it's like watching a dog go back to his vomit. See, the Most High delivered you from that. Why are you going back to that? And when you go back, not only did that spirit that caused you to sin, it's going to bring 7 more. So your state is now worse than before. So then now you're even tempted even more so. Now your mind is wanting even more so, and more things to do wrong contrary to the Most High. So we have to be aware and realize that these spirits are playing these games with us. That he's going to use emotions to get us to break the laws of the Most High. And we must stay steadfast and endure, because it's only for a time. And once we endure, then we receive the blessings of the Most High. And that's why they're going to take us right here. Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 20. And I always say this: when you get a chance, read the whole chapter of Deuteronomy. It's one of my favorite, if not one of the favorites outside of Revelations, books in the Bible. Deuteronomy 28, it makes everything clear to you what you're going through in these modern times. Everything we suffering from in this earth, I mean to the T, is described here, from all the way down to roaches in your house. Everything, it's the whole line, of all the way down to why we don't have any established banks or schools, why we don't have no savings account. It's in detail why, and it's broke down to where you can't. Why you at fear at everything? Why we killing each other in the streets for colors? It's broken all the way down to every last element, to where you know everything you going through is a curse that was put on you for disobedience of the law. And if you come back to the law, you will have a head over these curses. The law is life. All right, let's get started. Deuteronomy 28 and 20.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28,
Yes.
verse 20. The Most High shall send upon thee cursings, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thy hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me.
So he's going to, everything you do, anything you try to build, until you get right with the Most High, he's going to destroy. Send vexations. He's going to send things against it. He's going to send family against you to destroy every idea, everything you put your hands on. From your house to your car to your children, there's always going to be something there fighting against you. Go ahead.
Verse 21, and the Most High shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it.
That was 28?
No, that was 21. I read 28.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Just jump down to 28. I'm sorry. That's my fault. Jump down to 28 after 20. That was my fault. I didn't even notice that.
Slakia, verse 28.
Yes, sir.
And the Most High shall smite thee with madness
Right.
and blindness and astonishment of heart.
Uh-huh.
Verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noon days as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
So right, so the Bible says you're going to walk around in blindness. You're not going to know your way around. You're going to walk into wall and stumbling blocks and fall through ditches. And then even more so, he said that thou shalt not prosper in any of thy ways. Y'all started to notice that, right? You saw why black folks don't own a chain of businesses and different things like that. And if we do open up something, there's always an oppression there of somebody coming to get it and take it. You notice how when we open up a family restaurant, it's only for a time. They do good for a year or two. The next thing you know, bankrupt. You know, same thing. Any business, barbershops, food, you know, they call it the 3 B's of banking: beauty, barber, and barbecue. Banks won't loan to. See, it's the Most High letting you know, I'm not going to let you get comfortable in captivity. Not only because you got to come out of her, but because of your own sins. Because of the disobedience. These are the curses that fall upon you till you do it through the Most High. That's why the Most High said, do all your endeavors, first Christ. So in an endeavor, if you're going to do it, if the Most High bless you, you first must be right with the Most High and then do it through Christ, and all glory goes to the Father. Then he will let you function for a time. Then he'll let it grow. Then he'll let it build. Then he'll put a hedge around it in your household. But as long as we do it on our own understanding, thinking that this is all me, it's never going to flourish. It's never going to work. And I mean, look around. Even rich people can't even do it. I remember when Isaiah Thomas wanted to start his own basketball league. Nope. Even the brothers that do have something, they're only part owners. Magic Johnson's only part owners of most of the stuff. He's only an investor in most of the stuff he owns. There's nothing of your own estate, because the Most High said, whatever you put your hand on, I'm going to destroy it for you. All right? Let's jump down here and go stay in Deuteronomy, but go jump down to the 65th verse. Deuteronomy 28 and 65. All right? Remember you have it? Amen. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall thy sole of thy foot have rest. But the Most High shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
Right, a depressed spirit. Nothing ever goes my way. Everything you see, it just seems negative. That's where the depression and anxiety come from. That's a curse. This is not, you got to realize when you're walking that path and you're going through these things, you got to recognize that these are the curses that the Most High put on us for disobedience. So now I got to find out, where am I disobedient at? What am I doing in my own life to cause these things in my life to function that way? What is causing me to be depressed? What is causing all this anxiety and anger? And you don't have to look long before you realize I'm not walking right. There's something in my life that I can do better to the glory of the Most High. And once you realize it, attack it. And if you need help, that's why they gave us the scriptures. The strong supposed to bear the infirmities of the weak. Go to your brothers and sisters. Hey, can y'all pray for me today? I don't want to really divulge what I'm going through, but can y'all just say a prayer with me real fast? You know what I'm saying? Brother Troy do that all the time. Every week, Brother Troy, hey, anoint my head. Let's pray over me real quick, brothers. Brother Q, no. And I like, Brother Q, come on, let's go and pray for this brother. You don't have to confess to me. I'm not a Catholic priest. But if you need prayer, brother, I don't have no problem. You're asking a prayer, and it strengthens me. And all glory goes back to the Most High. So it not only makes you strong, it makes me strong. Because when we're praying together, when 2 or 3 are my name, and the Father and the Christ comes in between us, he's not going to only fix what you're going through. He's going to fix what I'm going through. He's going to fix what Brother Q going through. That's why I grab the brethren. And I grab us together and we pray together. Because Brother Clarence may not know what's getting ready to happen Monday, but because we praying for Brother Troy, what happened to him Tuesday, we all can now get a hedge from seen and unseen troubles. You know, because when the prayer come down, then the blessings come down. And then now whatever's we get ready to befall us, so the Most High, he's so far above us, he'll take Brother Troy do something Wednesday, have us all pray for him Saturday, and now we all covered through the rest of the week. Not knowing what's going to happen the next day. That's how he functions. So we can now all operate together. So when 2 or 3 there in my name, so am I there also. That's why, hey, let's get these prayers going. Let's pray for one another. Let's pray with each other. What do you say? We read the prayers of the fervent are heard of the Most High? The prayers of the righteous, when we pray together and we walking right with the Most High, He's going to hear our prayers over everybody else. Guaranteed. All right, what verse we stopped at?
65,
Yes, go ahead.
verse 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life.
And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. All the years, I remember being 16 and 17, didn't think we was going to make it to be 25. Didn't think we was going to make it to be 30. Why? The gang banging and the drugs and in the streets and the world that was around us. How the news portrayed us being killed and murdered on a high number. We, as a young man, we wasn't planning on things into the future. That's why we lived by the skin of our teeth. Because we knew that there wasn't a future for us. Or we assumed there wasn't a future for us because we was looking at the world carnally. But when you put the carnal world behind and understand the spiritual understanding and the love of Christ that protects us, now we can look forward. Now I can believe that I'm going to see the return of Christ if I endure, if I keep straight with these commandments. Because the wages of sin is death. And because I was living in a sinful state of mind, these curses were falling upon me. And that's why my life was in doubt every time I walked through the door. Every time I walked to the bus stop to school, we had to worry about was somebody going to drive by and shoot up the bus stop. You know, every time, you know, I be trying to tell Brother Clarence, you can't be scared of flying, brother. Christ is the pilot. You know what I'm saying? We can't, you know what I'm saying? The Most High didn't give us the spirit of fear. We can't function out of spirit. Fear. If we take our life, if I die for Christ, hey, I'm assured. And if I live for Christ. I'm assured. It's that insurance, the Christ policy. You know what I'm saying? And all he requires is dedication. Be dedicated to me, right? The Christ policy, baby. Dedication, that's all you need. No money, dedication. The commandments is the price. And you live those commandments, you got that policy, you good. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 67.
Yes, sir.
In the morning thou shalt say, would the Most High it were evening?
Yes, sir.
And at evening thou shalt say, would the Most High it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
So it would be so bad on the streets and in the world that you would be at wondering, is it day? Is it night? Am I safe in the daytime? Am I safe in the nighttime? Because you won't know. Because the world and the way they paint the picture of destruction in our communities, you will have a fluttering of heart. You won't be sure of anything. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like a chicken that's suspicious of everything because all you see around you is what? Death. It was to the point to where I hated Saturday morning because I know every Saturday I had a funeral to go to for years. To the point to where I just like, man, I'd rather just be at work. Because every week somebody you know is being murdered or killed or something bad to where they happened that night and you getting the bad news that morning. It was to that point to where you just get tired of it. You just like, you know what, you want to draw yourself away from all of it. But we have to stand strong, keep these commandments, and we'll be delivered through all of this. It says here, we must understand that we have suffered as a nation to an extreme mental anxiety and depression. We struggle and hope for better lives, yet we still forsake the Most High, especially in times of struggle. We have become addicted to the mental states, which were there as a curse, and refuse to let go, even at the expense of all sorts of sickness, whether spiritual or physical. So it's up to us to follow the commandments and let go that same depressed and anxiety state of mind to continue to walk with the Most High. It's like you're shell shocked. You're so used to living that way, you don't know how to come out of it until you come into the body and say, I'm going to put all my problems on Christ. The house of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it and they are safe. Meaning when you get into Christ, he's that strong tower that will protect you from your enemies. That's even spiritually and physically. So if we understand that, we make that our testimony. We make Christ our tower. All right, we're going to go into the Testament of Solomon. All right, you got that?
I just read it.
Oh, you're going to read, all right. We got the Testament of Solomon here.
Got that book?
It's in the what? The Pseudepigraphica?
No.
This is the other one?
Well, it's in Brother Q's.
Oh, okay.
I got the...
You got the other one. I know it's two of them, right? All right. If you can get up on your phone, that's fine. But just Brother Clarence will read off my screen, and we'll just go from there. All right.
This is the Testament of Solomon. I don't know what.
Verse 74.
verse 74. And the second said, I am called. They ain't put the name.
Yeah, they removed it.
And I cause those who are subject to my hour to feel the pain of migraine.
So there's a demon out there. We took out the name because when you call these names, you invoke these spirits. So they took the names out. But there's a demon out there that causes migraines. So when you brothers and sisters, you suffering from a constant migraine on a daily basis, there's a demon behind that. There's a spirit behind that. Fasting and prayer is one of the quickest ways to get rid of it. So we have to recognize that a lot of our illness come from these spirits. And it says here, there is a specific spirit which causes regular migraines. This is also common complaint amongst those who suffer from anxiety and depression. I suffer from headaches. Where are you sad and depressed all the time? Well, yeah, my head hurt. So it's like it's going back and forth. We have to recognize it and come to the Most High and let us pray over you. And then change your diet. And then let's fast a few days out the week and see what the Most High do for you then. All right? 79?
79. And the 8 said, I am called, I distort the hearts and minds of men.
Right, so he makes you see one thing, you hear one thing, and then act like you heard something else. Well, I thought you said this. No, brother, that's not what I said. I actually said this. So there's a spirit that will distort your thinking when it comes to understanding dealing with the brothers and sisters. So everything somebody say to you is an offense. See, and we know where we are, a lot of us are suffering from that, where we hear exactly what we already got preconceived in our own heads. And then now it's an offense, and now we had an argument. And somebody's like, well, I didn't say that. How many arguments you done heard one person saying, well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Well, I thought you said, well, brother, I'm telling you I didn't say that. And yet the argument still persists because it's a mental issue that you're dealing with, that the spirit is making you hear things that people are not saying, and then now you're taking everything as a disrespectful comment. And it says here, this spirit is good at causing a person to live in a delusion state of reality, which causes the person not to be able to make sound judgment in their own lives. And you know, most of Israel's functioning in that state of mind. Anytime you think breaking more of the laws is going to get you right in life, that's not spiritually minded, man. If I'm already living wickedly and my life is turned upside down, how is living more wickedly going to bring peace and salvation? See, that's delusion. That's a delusion that as long as I continue to walk contrary to the Most High, one day I'm gonna hit a point of righteousness or betterment in my life. No, brother, until you put that wickedness down, you won't never have peace. All right, let's go to verse 80.
Verse 80, and the 9th said, I am called, I send colics in the bowels, I induce pain.
Right, so people with stomach issues. Now, don't get me twisted. Every issue don't mean it's a demon, but every issue will be resolved through fasting and prayer. Remember, you don't have to be infected with a demon for a demon to use emotional states of mind or even pains to make you do certain things. You know, some people know, you know, you got people that drink too much, so when they feel the pain, they'll drink some liquor. Or take those Xanny bars. And we know how people are on those Xanax. You know what I'm saying? Or sleeping pills. I remember back in the early 70s, everybody was hooked on those diet pills. Luther and all of them was hooked on those, fen-phins. See? Different things. The spirit will influence you to start something, and then now will make a way for he can now enter through addiction on drugs from anxiety and depression. How can a pill for depression cause suicide as a side effect? I'll just deal with my regular depression. At first I was depressed. I wasn't trying to kill myself, but you know, mix that in with how does you take a pill for depression and still making you want to do worse on yourself than better? And because now they warned you, you can't sue.
Yeah.
I told you might kill yourself if you take 3-4 of these. right? And you look back, you know, my brother didn't kill himself taking Safaricin. Whatever. And now they like, but we told you on the box, you might jump off a building every now and then. You know, just every now and then, not every time, just every other time you take this, you might want to bust your head open. But take it every day. Some of them twice a day. Come on. We got to make sure that we're not letting a disturbed mind make us make unrealistic decisions. Side effect, instant death. I'm not taking these if instant death is now a side effect. I thought instant death meant this is poison, right? But no, take this once a day and call me in the morning. If there's a morning for you, there's that tree of good and evil again. No, you won't surely die right now, but you gonna die. That's the point, Eve, Adam. I ain't gonna say Eve, sisters. I know y'all's already looking like, okay, here you go. Adam. It says here, many people suffer problems with their bowels due to anxiety and don't realize that the entertaining of a destructive thought allows such demons to cause things like ulcers and irritated bowel issues. Because when you have anxiety, you get nervous, and when you do, your stomach produces more acid, causes acid reflux. And then the stress causes ulcers, and then the acid from your stomach is irritating the ulcer. Now you're sick, now you're taking all these prescriptions to cause instant death. See how they work together? That's why you gotta go that natural route. Can you tell you, but that natural remedy, and the natural remedy works a whole lot better. My wife started frying that cabbage. I started drinking the juice and eating the cabbage, and I couldn't stand bananas. I'm starting eating bananas now. I'm putting my own personal aside and just going, hey, let me eat some bananas and stuff, because you can't keep taking, what was that? Percocets? Privacet, and all that stuff. That stuff don't do you no good. It works for a minute, and then 4 hours later, you taking 4 more. And then ain't no telling what's the other side effects. Now you wonder why the hair coming out on the side. Like, man, this... like, hey, hold on, what's going on? Man. Like, it's all that extra nonsense they don't never tell you about. I wonder why you can't go to sleep till 4 in the morning. You got to be up at 6:30. We got to recognize that they cut these pills with so many different side effect things. We don't know what they put inside our bodies. You just know you get that little good part of slowing the pain for a time, but you don't know what that bad part, that tree of good and evil. Yeah, you're going to get the knowledge, but you didn't know the death was going to come behind that tree with it. That's why the Most High made everything of its own kind. You're not supposed to make mixtures of things. Every time there was a mixture, it was an abomination of the Most High. All right, let's go to the next one. Verse 82. Go ahead. 82.
The 11th said, I am called, I create strife and wrongs in men's home and send on them hard temper.
Right. When you get in your house and you just come home with an attitude and you and your wife are just barking at each other at a high level. Sometimes we got to pull back and looking like, what am I doing? Sometimes we got to be wise as elder statesmen and be like, you know what, right now we're not going to come to a meeting of the minds on this subject. Let's set it down. Let's not talk about it right now. Let's eat dinner. Let me play a couple of screens of this video game and calm down and relax my mind. And then we can come back to it when both cooler heads have prevailed. Everything cannot be solved instantly right now. I'm talking from my own personal experience, because I'm the type that, I'm a talker. I got to talk it now. It got to be resolved right now. No, put that away, brother. It ain't going nowhere. Problems don't go nowhere. For real. They don't go, they like that mother-in-law that move in. She ain't going nowhere. This ain't going nowhere. So relax. We can come back to it once. Hey, let's eat some dinner first. Let's relax. Let's calm down. Let's let that spirit move. Then we can come back to it and talk about it with cooler hearts and minds. It always work out that way, because then you looking at her and she looking all sad. Then our hearts get soft. Like, baby, I'm sorry. All right, whatever it is, we do it. Now the argument done. Now we done. It's just that simple. And then what she gonna say? Well, I'm sorry. I just wanted you to listen, because I wanted you to hear what You right, baby. You were definitely right. Now the problem then became like this. Now it's like this. Now we can go forward. We can operate with each other. And I'm talking from experience, because me and Sister Tanya, boy, we get... I mean, one time I fainted, I was fussing so hard. She gonna run out, you all right, you all right. Let me be. Let me be. I ain't she'll tell you, I almost passed out. I was so hot, man. Oh, because the people that love you love can push those buttons. She know exactly what, your mama, oh, my mama. Right, man, so you got to pull back and let that calm down, man. I'm talking from personal life. Man, so now that we know how to function with each other, we love each other, so now I'll be like, let me shut up. Because I know I can over-agitate. I'm like the person that like to make sure I'm right. Didn't I tell you? Yeah, I said no. And she be like, all right. And I'll be like, you right. Let me pull back, baby. And I sit down and she'll come in there, do something cute to make you laugh. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to help you look for it now. You know what I'm saying? You know how we is. I ain't going to look for it with you. I told you to put it where I told you. You didn't do it. Find it. Ain't doing nothing. The next you know, here we go. We looking for it. It's right there in front of it, just like you told her where it was right there anyway. Here you go, baby. All right. You want something to drink? Yeah, make me a strawberry lemonade. You know what I like. I love that strawberry lemonade. Me and boy, that's my new thing. Put down Coke and me and strawberry lemonade is like this. All right. It says, all right. It says, illness that hit following someone suffering from bad nerves and also demonic attacks. So if you got bad nerves, and a lot of people do, we have bad nerves, we a little nervous in life, a little bit, some people a little bit more high strung than others. We have to recognize that in our mates and in the people we function with to know that, our sisters and brothers, some of our sisters are weaker vessels, so we must operate that way. We're men, we're meant to function a certain way, and women, they function a certain way. We have to be all things to all people. So when we're dealing with our wives and sisters and mothers, we always have to remember they're weaker vessels. Some things that you can say to a man that won't mean nothing to another man, but when you say it to a sister, they take it in a sense to where you don't care for them or you're being mean. So we always have to remember that, all right? Verse 89.
89. The 18th said, I separate wife from husband and bring about a grudge between them.
So when automatically, we ain't got to explain that one. So when we see that starts to develop, we got to realize there's a spirit in the room, babe. We need to pull away from each other for right now. And let that spirit move on about its way and then come back together. Matter of fact, let's hold hands and say a quick prayer. And then sit down, let's eat something, let's have a snack, and then we'll come back to it. It's the solution is very easy. It's just when we're trying to resolve it right then. Nothing has to be resolved right then. We can always pull back and come back to it at another time. There's no rules to engagement. We can learn to be like, put it to the side for a time, and then we can function. And believe me, let me tell y'all, I didn't write this lesson, okay? I'm letting y'all know ahead of time, so I don't want nobody in my office yelling at me. I didn't write this, right? I sent this last night, didn't I, brother? No. All right, so don't look at me sideways. This is what the Spirit is bringing. I didn't do none of this, all right? So let's understand this. I'm a vessel. You know what I'm saying? I'm a vessel. It says, stress and anxiety is then brought onto a household as a result of many divorces. I'm sorry. Thank you, brother. He stopped doing my lesson. Having stress and power simply because of us being able to deal with such spirits, even as having the knowledge of their existence. So even when you know they exist, see, you can recognize, hey, this is a spirit. Right? Still, they're going to function. They're going to push through. They don't care. The spirit don't care as long as I can bring the vision. All right, 98.
98. The 28 said, I am called and send sleeplessness on men.
Right, so when we can't sleep at night, that's another spirit. At night, causing our mind to roam and wonder and can't relax, and we're thinking about every problem in the world, every issue in the world. Put it aside. I often, as men, we go through that because we work with the providers of our own home. So what I do is pray myself to sleep. I'm going to pray till I fall asleep. And it works. It hadn't failed me yet. Matter of fact, I woke up 4 o'clock this morning and just had a few things on my mind. And you know what? I said, you know what, Most High, you deal with it. And I just prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And next thing I know, it's 7 o'clock. And time to get up. And now I didn't got myself to where now I didn't make myself now overly tired. Now I'm slow moving. But all glory to the Most High. When you can't sleep at night, say those prayers. Start off with that Lord's Prayer, even if you got to say that over and over again. But go into the prayer with the Most High, and He'll bring you into a relaxed state of mind, and you'll go to sleep. But if you study thinking about the things that are wrong in your life, and you mourn them over and over again, and you ain't getting no resolution, it's time to put that away, brother, and put it in the Most High, and put it in your hands, and you operate. All right. And it says, there are even demons that cause us to have such trouble in our thoughts that we can't even get rest. When we then feel like we are losing our minds, but really it's our own obsession with listening to the demonic suggestive thoughts that we keep us from a peaceful sleep. All these symptoms provided and more come through demonic attacks and become the perfect spiritual cocktail to keep us destroyed. The question is, why haven't we been educated on these demons and their games in our schools and from our doctors? Because then they can't make no money.
Right.
If a doctor telling you, listen, I don't have nothing for you, this is a spiritual battle that you need to go to prayer in, then you're going to realize, then where am I coming to you, period?
Right.
If all of this based on spiritual, remember the Bible said we're not fighting against flesh and blood, so we should already understand that this is a spiritual battle. So we need to educate ourselves on the spiritual remedies, which is Christ, fasting, prayer. Have I been with you so long? Some demons must be fast and prayed out. And he was telling the disciples, they must fast and pray to get the spiritual power to cast out demons. That was for them to grow on, all right? Let's go to, and we got a few more here. Let's go to Matthew, and we're going to go to Matthew chapter 12, verse 39. All right, amen. You have it?
Amen.
Floor is yours, brother.
The book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 39. But he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it but the sign of the prophet Jonas.
So what Christ is saying, y'all looking for a sign, but the sign was given, the prophet Jonas. Jonas was in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights. So when Christ suffered that same scenario to be in the belly of the earth 3 days and 3 nights, there is your sign. Go ahead.
Verse 40. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be there 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
So letting you know, once Christ died on the cross for your sins, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So that lets you know that's the last sign you need to know salvation is at hand. That we must walk right accordingly. And now people have gotten lazy because a few hundred years or 1,000 years has passed. Give or take 500 years. And yet now we slack. The Bible said now the coming of the Lord is even closer than you may even imagine. Because if you knew back then, and now you done lived 30, 40 years, and now you're looking at yourself and thinking you still got time. No, brother. Time don't give you more time once it's spent. The more you take from time, the less it is. The less time you have. So the second you realize that Christ died on the cross for your sins, that's when you're supposed to change your life and walk accordingly from that point going forward. Go ahead.
Verse 41. Then the men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonas. And behold, a greater than Jonas is here.
Right, greater than Jonas is here. I mean, the sacrifice that Christ made is greater than what Jonas did. Because we know Jonas was supposed to go to Nineveh, but he didn't want to go because he knew that the people wasn't going to listen. So he's like, I don't even want to go there. The Most High, they're not going to listen. And Jonah decided to go his own way. And because of that, he had to suffer 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale, and then the whale spewed him up right at the shore of Nineveh. And so he went and did the work fervently. Well, now one is greater than Jonah that came and did the work and gave you an example of how to walk. So now do such. Follow suit. Go ahead.
Verse 42. The queen of the south shall rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it. For she came from the uttermost parts of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a greater than Solomon is here.
Right. And it says here, we must understand that Solomon had great knowledge of the demonic realm and havoc they caused. He was able to subdue them through his authority he was given, but we have an even greater authority given through Christ's sacrifice, which doesn't require any special rituals or details on which spirit we need to know to have authority over them. So through Christ, we have authority over all spirits. When Solomon had the power, he had to know the name of the spirit. He had to function a ritual to make them help him build a temple. That's where that's coming from. So Solomon had the wisdom to know how to deal with the spirits through knowing of their name. As through Christ, we don't even need to know that. All we need to do is follow Christ and rebuke them in the name of Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya. And then we can function without the rituals, without having to know the demon's name. Whatever demon you is, I cast you on the name of Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya. Now you have power greater than Solomon. All right? Let's go to Mark, and let's do Mark chapter 16. We only have a few more here. And we're going to go Mark 16, chapter 16, verse 15. All right, amen. When you have it, the floor is yours, Brother Clarence.
The book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 15. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature.
Exactly, go ahead.
Verse 16. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned.
Right, so with your belief come a function, come an action you must take. Belief is just not believing, okay, and then I'm done. Belief comes with the baptism, and then you shall be saved. Because once you baptize, you're supposed to be that new man and function underneath the law. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues.
Right, now if you was in the Christian church, they would be talking about, when they falling all on the floor and just confusion. When the Most High said you're going to speak in new tongues, those tongues gave utterance, meaning it will be a language in the earth that people are speaking. And in that new language, you'll be able to talk about Christ. How is it that the Christian church has turned that into some kind of Babylon ritual where the music is playing and everybody's speaking in tongues and nobody is edified? See, now that's a satanic ritual. That's Bacchus. You know what I'm saying? That's the house of harlots. We know that when the Most High deal, there will be one by one and there will be two or three to interpret. It doesn't function in that exact manner. You have to put it away and do it at home. The Spirit is supposed to give others understanding, and it should be understanding that edifies the church. I'm speaking and all of a sudden y'all jump up and start speaking in mass tongues. I'm just going to unplug my mic, wrap it up, and I'm going to walk out. Let y'all, I'm out. What am I teaching for? No one's going to be edified. It's an edification. So when you see that in the church, you understand demons are just roaming through that joint. I'm out. I'm going to do what Sister Alicia do, throw up that little finger and just duck my head. I'm out the church. I'm not going to sit in a room full of demons. No one is being edified. And see, that's what Paul was talking against. He would be teaching, they would be teaching in the church, and then women would just jump up and start speaking in tongues. No edification is being now confusion. No one is paying attention to the word being brought forth, and no one is understanding the tongue you're speaking in. That's why we know that the Spirit spoke utterance, are understanding the language that exists. All this babble, and all that, and all these different men. And I used to enjoy it because I played the drums, so it was a time for me to show out. So it was fun for me. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? We getting it, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't nothing but confusion. And then as soon as he done, what come out? The offering plate. You know what I'm saying? And now let's get this money together. Y'all done danced and lathered all up. Let's get this money together. It's not how the Bible functions, baby. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's why when the first things a pastor put together is music. Because if you get people emotionally tied to the church to music, you can take the shoes off a brother and sister. We're not here for that. We're here for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? You give as the Most High leads you to give, but we're going to give you the knowledge. Paul said, even if you don't give me, I'm going to still teach you and I'm going to make tents. I'll make tents to provide for myself, and I'm still going to teach it, because Paul wasn't doing this for dirty Luther. He doing it for the salvation of the nation, of the people. He loved the people, and he wanted his brethren to be saved. So Paul said, I'll build tents while I'm here, make my own money. If money going to be a stumbling block. See, that's what I love about our organization. How many times you ever seen Elder Ricard ask for money? Because he let the work bring the money. Christ said, I'm going to send you out without cloak, without food, without nothing, because the work will provide for you. It's the work that we do here. I'm not that great of an orator. I can't sing at all. My wife dresses me, so this is all through the glory of the Most High. I get it. Ain't nothing I'm doing. You know, Christ let us know. He'll have the rocks cry out. Come next week, it'll be a rock right here teaching y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because the work gonna get done, brothers and sisters. The work gonna get done with you or without you. My wife, I love her saying, one monkey don't stop no show. That's why I'm gonna be fervent behind this. It's an honor to be in here to teach y'all. It's an honor for me. I thank the Most High y'all show up and fill up these seats. It's not for my glory, it's to the glory of the Most High. Because I don't want to be in heaven. I will be in heaven by myself, but I would love for y'all to come. But if it means me following by myself, so be it. But I thank the Most High, y'all come every week and y'all entertain us and bring love into the house. And I give all glory to the Most High, because it's not me. And it's definitely not us as an individual, it's us as a body. Because before we moved into this place was an employment center. You understand? And before it, we don't know what it was. And now we done made it a church because of the body and the state of mind that we bring here. It becomes a church because of the people. All right? What verse we have, brother?
6:17.
Yes, sir. Finish that out.
Salakia.
Yes, sir. 17.
We at 18.
Okay, go ahead.
Then shall take, Salakia 18, they shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover.
Right, and that's the power we're going to receive through Christ, by believing and being faithful, fasting and prayers, that we can take up serpents and be bitten and not die from them. And this scripture is really going to become matter of fact, the majority of the scripture is already in place, because Coke and Pepsi is nothing but poison. I did study. White sugar is a chemical. It has a chemical registration number that when you're dealing with sugar, it's not sugar anymore. By the time they didn't process it, and sugar is brown naturally. By the time they process it, it's an actual chemical that's a drug. You know that, right? That's why they give you a sugar pill, a placebo. See, so sugars are the man. We've been eating poison since you woke up in Israel. The Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Mars family. You know, Mars is an Illuminati family. Mars Bar Corporation, that's an Illuminati family. They've been poisoning our candy and stuff for years. And we've been eating poison for years. And they looking back like, how is baby kids still multiplying? We've been poisoning these people for 200 and 300 years and they still growing. And yet we got fertility clinics all through Beverly Hills. And it's crazy, man. We can have, sisters be just replanting the earth with Israelites. And that's why we know the scriptures are real. He said, I'm going to make them most small amongst all the heathens. They got the best of everything. They work out every day. They eat all natural foods. And it takes them 35 years to have a baby. Then they late 40s having their first baby. And the baby just as old as they is. I know I ain't being for them. You stop talking. I love her. That's my brother. But yeah, you get what I'm saying? We should be like the sands of the sea. That's a blessing. Even in our cursed time, we were blessed. Should be like the sands of the seas, the stars of the sky. That was a blessing the Most High gave us. Even through all the poison and destruction, we multiply. Go back into Egypt. Pharaoh said the same thing. I'm working them to death. I'm barely feeding them. And yet they're tripling and doubling in number. I'm working them. They ain't got no energy. Where they get all this energy from? Blessings of the Most High. All right? All right. It says here, it says, it is he that believeth that shall have the great authority. And of course, faith without works is dead. In Christ's name, we shall do great things. We must work hard to keep ourselves spiritually and physically and mentally strong. And let's go into Sirach here. Yeah, this is our last verse of the day. We're going to go into Sirach in your Apocrypha, which is Ecclesiastics. If you got the red one, it should be page 70. And it's Sirach, and we're going to do chapter 30, and we're going to start at verse 14. Oh, you got it too. And like I said before, we got the apocryphas in the back that we can use if you need one. But if you want to buy one, we sell them for like $7. You can have your own apocrypha for like $7. So let me know, and I'll get you one, and we can get you taken care of. You can have your own Sirach, your own apocrypha. You know, and if your wife don't have an apocrypha, it would make it smart to buy your wife an apocrypha. I'm just saying, anybody that got right, I know you. All right, buy one, because it's a good reading, all right? Amen when you have it? Amen. All right, Brother Clarence?
The book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30,
Yes,
verse 14.
No, start at the 22nd. Yes, go ahead, 14, I'm sorry, Salak, yes. Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want 14. Yes.
Better is the poor being sound and strong in constitution than a rich man that is afflicted in his body.
Right, so it's better to be poor with all your facilities and health than to be rich and be sick in the body. So money don't mean anything. It's better to be poor and have all of your physical attributes than to be rich. And what's the guy in the wheelchair? Stephen Hawkins. Right, you want to be Stephen Hawkins with all that money? Or you rather be poor, Brother Greg and Brother Charles and Brother Clarence and Brother Q? I'd rather be poor with nothing and be able to operate and function. I bet you Stephen Hawkins would give up all his wealth just to walk for a week, to be able to take care of himself and bathe himself for a week, let alone for a lifetime. So it's better to be poor and without than to be rich and sick. Go ahead.
Verse 15.
Yes, sir.
Health and good state of the body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinity wealth.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 16. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart.
Right. No riches is above a sound body. It's better to be homeless and outside and be a strong man, but be rich and be in a mansion and can't even enjoy the riches of that mansion. You're sick, you're destroyed, you can't even swim in that $1 million pool. You can't even bowl in that $100,000 bowling alley. You can't even enjoy the riches that you receive. So I'd rather just be poor and struggle through than to be rich and have everything and can't enjoy none of it. Go ahead.
Verse 17.
Yes, sir.
Death is better than a bitter life, or continual sickness.
Right, death is better than a bitter life, mad and constraint and suffering. And it's better to be off dead. Why live a life of suffering and turmoil and not enjoy it? Go ahead.
Verse 18. Delicates powered upon a mouth shut up, are a messes of meat set upon a grave.
Right, delicates pured upon a mouth is shut up as a messes of meat set upon a grave. So a delicate mouth poured is shut up that you can't eat the meats. It don't matter. It's the same thing as being rich and not being able to enjoy it. Go ahead.
Verse 19. What good doeth the offering unto an idol? For neither can it eat nor smell. So is he that is persecuted of the Most High.
It's the same example. Why even sacrifice to an idol that can't enjoy, smell, or to partake in none of those sacrifices? The same way that a man is breaking the law that's persecuted of the Most High. What's the use of living a life that's going to get you persecuted of the Most High? You're not going to enjoy the life that you're given through your wickedness and sin. So now you're being persecuted, so life has no value. The same way sacrificing to an idol brings you no value. Go ahead.
Verse 20. He seeth with his eyes and goeth as an eunuch that embraceth a virgin and sigheth.
Yeah, he that seeketh with his eyes and groaneth as an eunuch is embrace a virgin and sin what's that? Singeth, sigheth. See? So it's saying here that he that seeth with his the groaneth, because he's groaning because he's not enduring life. You know, a eunuch doesn't have any members of his body to enjoy life with. And a virgin that doesn't have any mate doesn't have an understanding of being in that emotional relationship. So it's just as bad. It's like you living life without no flavor, living life without no emotional contact to the world. You're just walking through and not receiving none of the blessings of this world that the Most High has given you. You're just sighing through it, depressed all the time. Wonder, woe is me, why me? Why don't I have? Why am I lacking? That's the life you lead when you go against the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 21.
Yes, sir.
Give not over thy mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thy own counsel.
Right. Don't give your mind to heaviness, depression, thinking about it all the time, why you don't have and everybody else have. And you constantly wonder why your life is so destroyed. Don't sit back and think that way all the time, because they tell you when you diagnosed with cancer, you can't sit back and be unhappy and think you're going to die, because it's going to make you depressed and you're going to die quicker. So they say, be you of happy spirits. So if you sit back and always contemplate on why you don't have anything, it will depress you. And then you're going to be down in spirit and heart. Then you're going to be down in energy. Then you're going to be your immune system. They know your emotional state of mind is connected to your immune system. You determine through the glory and the love of the Most High how you boost yourself with energy, or how you destroy through depression with lack of energy. All right? That's why people that are depressed are what? Tired all the time. Want to sleep all the time. They want to be alone all the time. Go ahead.
Verse 22. The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days.
Self-explanatory. Exactly what we just read above. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Love thy own soul and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee. For sorrow hath killed many, and there is no profit therein.
Right. So living a life of sorrow instantly opens up the door for depression and demonic spirits. See, it starts you off to love thy own soul and comfort thy heart and remove sorrow far away from thee. See, so, and it's another thing about also when you lose somebody and you so sorrowful that it make you sick. You know, you're crying and you're stressed out because you lost someone close to you, to where now you sick, you in the bed. Just like, what was the lady that was on Star Wars? She died, and then what? A week later, her what? Her mama died. A few days later, mama died. Because you put so much behind losing someone to where you lose yourself. You know, we got to be vigilant. Like the Bible said, you don't cry for the righteous, because if you believe that they're part of the body, they'll live again like Christ did. So what are you boo-hooing crying for? You know, they even the Christian church lets you know, what are you crying for? Their journey has taken its place. Your journey is next. You got to go where they went. So you shouldn't be crying for them. You need to be crying for yourself, that you may find peace when you leave here, that you may be found righteous in the eyes of the Most High. While you crying for the dead, you need to be crying for the living. If you really understand the way things are, because you got to suffer continuously. Your suffering ain't over with. And hopefully if they're righteous, their suffering is done. They're in the bosom of Abraham, being protected by the angels. They have virtual peace. You finna be hungry and broke and without. You got to endure those things. So what you crying for them for? Best that you be crying for yourself, that you get yourself right with the Most High. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 24.
Yes, sir.
Envy and wrath shorten the life.
Envy and wrath shortens the life. Because when you envy somebody and you wrath with them, that's going to bring destruction. That's going to bring violence. And on the end of violence is death. And if you found sinful in that wrath and envy, covenanting, then you're going to run into the second death, which is hell, or the lake of fire. Go ahead.
Salakia. And carefulness bringeth age before the time.
Right, carefulness bringeth age before time. You're careful. You watch your step. You look before you leap. Bringeth age before time. Go ahead.
Verse 25. A cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet.
Right, telling you that a cheerful and good heart, you're going to make sure that your body is taken care of. You're going to make sure your diet is right. Because you happy, you good, you know, hey, I'm healthy. Let me make sure I stay this way. And by you eating that way, you're going to function that way. You're going to love life. You're going to love to wake up in the morning, because you ain't going to have to worry about sickness, pain. So it's no problem for me to get up the next day and function, because I have nothing to hold me back. But when you got back issues and your feet hurt and you got gout and all the different things you have to deal with every day, you got to get yourself insulin and shots. You don't want to see the sun come up. Like, man, I got to get up and I got to do this and I got to take. My mom telling me she's taking 8 pills a day. I'm like, Miss Burks, you got to cut that out. There's no reason. There's nothing in these pills that 8 pills is almost a meal. Lay 8 pills across the table. I mean, just anything. Like, I got to take 8 of these. Man, it's like you might as well put them in a bowl and put some milk and make that cereal. 8 pills. But but we got to recognize there's no reason that I didn't need 8 pills before I got sick. What's in these 8 pills that's going to help me today? What 8 elements am I missing out my life that I need 8 more pills to put them back? He had on a white jacket and his office had doctor on the door. Okay, anybody can do that. I can go buy the lettering, you know what I'm saying? Go buy me a little jacket and I can tell you that, hey, take this. And then charge you $35,000. That's how they function. This is about money. I've been warning my mom and my family, like, listen, this is a money thing. These doctors are trying to get paid. Donald Trump is finna cut all this Obamacare and all this stuff. That's why these doctors are finna put out some of the worst. Everybody finna have, when you go to the doctor, everybody finna have cancer. Because as soon as they say you got cancer, it's $35,000 they make. I read that out the white man's Bible, and this is the Bible is like that Bible's like 10 years old. $35,000 for any cancer they tell you got off top. He can go to the bank and show his patient list and say, I named 8 people that got cancer. He can get a $500,000 loan just because you've been diagnosed with cancer. And now from the visits, shots, radiation, and from that point on, he can send his kids to college off one person having cancer. So if I'm living and I got a business and I'm a doctor and I got to keep my bills paid, how many of y'all gonna walk out with cancer today? I got a payroll. I got a Mercedes Benz. My wife got a Jag. My son in private school. Right? And these $100,000 suits I got on underneath this jacket ain't for free. So some of y'all finna leave with cancer. A few of y'all. Y'all gotta. I got 20 patients. Everybody healthy as a horse. How long am I gonna be in business? I'm just giving y'all extra vitamins. Drink a little bit more water. And then I'm done for the whole year. How my business gonna stay in place? You gotta have cancer for me to be rich. You gotta. Now, I seen a little lump too. I need to cut you open. See, this is all about money. If y'all ain't figured this out, this is a scam, and your government is in on it. The Department of Defense is in on it because it's controlled. The earth is overpopulated, so they all working in tandem with each other to make sure you kill so many people per year. Remember, you sheeple, you are wasteful eaters. You're using up all the elements of the earth that they're gonna need in their new kingdom. Remember, their houses shall last forever. So if y'all drinking up all the water, eating all the bread, we got to kill off some of y'all. It's common sense. You were sold to your enemies. I say that to my mom through our whole conversation while you're going to all these doctors. Remember, at the end of the day, you sold to your enemies. Your enemies are not going to give you a cure. They're not going to help you. They're going to destroy you. So we have to be aware. So that's why when you're dealing with anxiety and you go to these doctors and they give you all these depression, anxiety pills, you got to ask yourself why. Because it's profit in it all. You know how much money they make off the pharmaceutical company pay the doctors every prescription they give you to take a certain drug. You know that, right? That's why you see the drug on TV, then you go to the doctor, and now everybody getting that same drug that you seen in that commercial, because that's the drug the pharmaceutical company wants to push. Why do you think everybody on Xanny bars and Percocets now? Because there was a time where the pharmaceutical companies wanted that push, and now everybody addicted to them. Your doctor's the biggest drug dealer in the world. And the police ain't never at their door. But they at Tyrone house because he sell a sack every now and then. Kicking in his door when the doctor has got people on prescriptions to where they ODing. But then you lose your kids because you found with over abusive of pharmaceutical drugs, but they never go talk to the doctor that's prescribing you drug after drug after drug after drug. Right, Michael Jackson dead from taking Propofol, a drug that you can't even legally get. It's a drug you only use for surgery. And yet he's getting it from a doctor. And the black doctor wasn't the only dude prescribing Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had over 50 prescriptions of Propofol or whatever it was in his room. And did they mention any other doctor? No, they only took the doctor that was there when he died. So it's a system that's put against you. Let me finish this here. It says, start finding more things to smile about. And where we are heavy through sorrow, pray to the Father to lighten the spirit which are upon you. Once that lightened mind comes, don't allow yourself to be overcome, but fight the good fight with the scriptures in hand and find others in the faith to be positive with. Shalom, and continue the race because it is far from being over. That's the lesson for today. Amen. All glory to the Most High. All right, we're going to do communion real quick, but before that, announcements. Sister Tony got some announcements, and then we're going to do communion, then we're going to pray out, and then the Sabbath is yours. All right.
We will be celebrating Purim on the 25th. For those who would like to do gift giving, we're going to pull names after. This is the second time we pulled names. We pulled last week. And we have a donation jar for Elder Ricard when he comes for those who would like to donate to him. And the food boxes are given out after service.